Hi folks, in this video I'd like to show a demonstration of Illuminated Cloud support for a brand new Apex language feature coming in Winter 21 called the Safe Navigation Operator. So the very first thing that I want to do is just explain what the problem is that this particular new feature is intended to solve, and then we can look at how you would have to solve it in the absence of this feature and how this new feature actually makes for a much more elegant solution and will ultimately, in my opinion, lead to higher quality software written on the Apex language on the Salesforce platform. So we have a method here called getAccount, and it's going to return a null. Now this is a bit silly, but it's not hard to imagine a full implementation of this that, depending upon an ID that may or may not be present, things like that, may return an account that's populated, may return an account that's partially populated, or may return null if it can't find the account. And you as the caller need to decide what you're going to do about that. So we're going to call getAccount. We're going to pull that into a variable using refactoring. There's an old saying that that the concept of null, the concept of a variable that can take on the absence of a value, is really the root cause of the vast majority of bugs in software. That statement may be hyperbolic, it may not be, but I think all of us have experienced null pointer exceptions more than we'd like to in this life. And that may be null pointer exceptions in languages that have better handling, basically, that insulates you against raw memory access. But in something like C or C++, it may be pointer overruns or incorrect pointer accesses that can lead to basically applications crashing, to core dumps, segmentation faults, blue screens of death if it happens really deep in your operating system, kernel panics, things like that. So the point is that there's a class of issues that arise because of this concept of null. And the traditional way that you would handle this, so let's say that we want to just say something like, account number to uppercase, and that line of code is absolutely ripe with opportunities for null pointer exceptions. And so the traditional way that you would handle that is you would say something like, if account not equal null, then let's print it out. Well, that's fine if account is null, but what if account number wasn't populated and it comes back null? You're still going to have a null pointer exception. So we can say if account number not equal null. Now, if we wanted to, we could go ahead and combine those into a single statement. It would be a little less noisy in your code, but I imagine that a lot of your code looks like this. One idiom that a lot of people follow, this is something I do quite a bit when I'm trying to get to a very indirect piece of information, is I say something like account number. And I'll pull that into account number, and I'll turn this into a ternary operator, account not equal null, then use that, otherwise make that null, and then we'll say account number dot to uppercase, and we'll just call that account number to uppercase, and we'll say if account number not equal null, otherwise null, and then we'll say SD account number to uppercase. And so that's certainly a little bit more compact than what we had previously. Behavior's a little different because it won't print anything if both of these are null, if either of these are null. And in this case, it would print the null value. But it's the other way that you can effectively be defensive against these nulls. Well, with this new safe navigation operator, you can actually do this in a more elegant and readable fashion, a more compact fashion. So let's just take a look. So let's do again. Account, and instead of using dot, we're going to use question mark dot, which basically is exactly what it looks like. If this is not null, then account number, and if that's not null, then to uppercase, and that is going to print out one of two things. It's either going to print out account number to uppercase if everything's not null, or it's going to print out null. It's going to short circuit the expression evaluation at the first null that it encounters at a question mark dot, at this safe navigation operator. It's going to be safer, and it's going to result in less bugs, and it's going to be more expressive, and it's going to be more compact. It's going to result in less of this type of flowing to the right through a bunch of null checks. So wonderful language feature. There have been attempts at doing this in other languages, like in Java. It's a library level concept called optional. Some other languages, certainly the safe navigation operator, they've actually used it. So I think that Salesforce has done a really nice job here of giving all of us as developers in this ecosystem an opportunity to write higher quality code in a very expressive and compact fashion. All right, so let's take a look at Illuminated Cloud's support for this language feature. As you can see already, it has parser support and syntax highlighting support. It has code formatter support. It understands this particular concept. All of these code completion works properly just as if you were after a dot, although I'll show you there are exceptions to that. It understands indirect expressions, so indexing into an array, and does the right thing as always. It understands that, for example, this query could return a single instance of an account and gives you the right thing, and of course that would short circuit if not. But there are some things that you cannot do. So if we come down here and take a look, and I actually need to restore this. I'll modify these because I showed something. You cannot use it to try to dereference a type, because that type is always going to be non-null. It's kind of silly to say account, if it's not null, give me the account number field, or string, if that type's not null, use the class method on string called format, or this class constant. Those are known to be non-null at compile time. So not only does it not make sense to do that, but it will not allow you to do that. And Illuminated Cloud will actually flag that very clearly. And as is generally the case with these static code analysis capabilities in Illuminated Cloud, there's a quick opportunity to fix that. It'll allow you to change the safe navigation operator to the standard dot dereferencing standard navigation operator. So we can go through and we can actually kind of fix this code. Some other ways that this is not allowed, for example, here is a namespace. It doesn't make any sense because that fully qualified name exists at compile time. So it's not something that is being discovered as being null or not null at runtime. So again, it's nonsensical to use that there, so it's not allowed, and it's easy to fix. Same with other types of symbolic constants, labels, pages, flows, whatever it happens to be. It also doesn't make sense to use this on the left-hand side of an expression, because if that evaluates to null, you are effectively trying to assign to nothing, to null. So it won't allow you to use this operator on the left-hand side of an assignment expression. And so we can go ahead and change that and fix that. So some ways that this can be used, basically anytime that you're trying to fetch information and use it, and maybe store it in a variable, some ways that it can't be used. If it's things that at compile time are known not to be null, if it's things that if they evaluate to null, they cannot be used to storage. So left-hand side of an assignment expression, things like that. So hopefully this gives you a nice overview of this. One thing I do want to say is that because this is a Winter 21 feature, at the time of this recording, we are currently still on Summer 20 and API v49.0. So if you try to use this operator, Illuminated Cloud will let you write it in regardless of the API version that you put into your metadata file. So if we come over here, that says 49.0, not 50.0, and that's going to be the case when this is released. This feature will be available across API version numbers. But if you try to deploy it to an API v49.0 org, which is most of the orgs out there, it's going to fail deployment. It's going to show you syntax errors all over the place where you try to use it. Right now, you can use this against pre-release sandbox orgs. You can use this against preview Scratch orgs that are all on API v50.0. But if you're trying to deploy to an API 49.0, it's going to fail. Obviously, as soon as Winter 21 is released, this will be available ubiquitously. I wanted to go ahead and get support for the language feature out there, though, because I know quite a few people are starting to play with preview orgs and starting to play with this feature and potentially improve the quality of their code through the use of this. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's been educational about the problem that motivates this feature, the particular nature of this feature and how it can be used, how it cannot be used, and Illuminated Cloud's specific support for it. It's ubiquitous support across all the various characteristics of the editor, all the way from partial support down to static code analysis and quick fixes for invalid usages. So let me know if you see any problems, of course. I will take care of them. And otherwise, everyone stay healthy, stay safe, and take care of yourselves.